Welcome to Let's Face the Facts, the rewatch podcast for the classic sitcom, The Facts of Life. Join us each week as we synopsize, analyze, criticize, and ultimately idolize the show. And now, here's your host of Let's Face the Facts, the wonderful David Almeida.
Thank you, Matthew Arter. Welcome back to another show. Thank you for downloading and pressing play. This week, we are joined by singer, actress, funny lady, and educator Kate O'Neill. Kate is mostly a singer. I think that's probably what she would first describe herself as, though I met her through the theme park world and through the land of musical theater here in Central Florida. She and Matthew are very good friends. They worked very closely together for many years, and it's just a great time. And let's just get to it, shall we? We watched Season 7, Episode 10, called 3-2-1, with an original air date of November 23rd of 1985. Are you ready to jump on in? Let's face the facts with Kate O'Neill. Say, okay, instead of it looking like I have 5 o'clock shadow. And anyway, who gives a shit? We're going to do the facts of life.
The facts of life.
The facts of life. Kate O'Neill, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I am so glad Matthew suggested calling you and bringing you into this, because you have been on the list, the lengthy list of people I would love to have in the show. I just hadn't gotten around to it. And I forget that you two, and technically me by extension, we all worked together at the American Idol Experience.
Oh, back in the day.
Uh-huh.
Yes, that was good, clean fun.
You two were part of the audition team. So anyone auditioning might get one of the two of you sitting behind the desk.
Yes.
Deciding your fate. I had known you before that, Kate, because we had done Zombies from the Beyond.
Zombies from the Beyond.
At the Garden Theater.
We did.
Oh, so much fun. And I knew you before that too. And I'm trying to think how other than
I think just around. I think we kind of ran and
the Todd Allen Longs and the musicals, the musical people.
Yes, that was fun.
All that.
Did you watch The Facts of Life, Kate, as a young child?
Oh, as a young child. You're so cute. I will tell you that I was not somebody that watched it every week. However, I would catch them every once in a while. And I had my favorites. And I had the people that drove me nuts.
Okay, well, do it. Name names. I want to hear.
Okay, so first of all, my favorite... Well, I'll name my top three. Top three
of the cast of 5.
Yeah.
No, there's more than that. There's George Clooney, right? He's not in my list.
Okay.
I'll do it like this. If I had to play a part, the part that I would want to play is the Edna.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because, God, she had like 5 lines the entire episode. She still got paid the same. I like that kind of ratio.
She got paid. Funny enough, Kate, she got paid more this season because this is her last season. She's done. And she wanted to be done last season, but they talked her into staying more. And she writes in her book, she's like, it is an obscene amount of money they gave me to do that last season. And she just couldn't say no.
Oh my God.
So she got paid a lot to
she
have.
Really had like 5 lines the entire show.
She's on her way out.
I love that. But Joe was probably the most like me. But Natalie was the me I wish I could be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's just funny, let stuff kind of roll off. She's just funny.
She's a great comedic. She's got great comedic natural chops because she had never been an actress before this. So
that's hard to believe.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That was her first thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's a natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, let us start to discuss season 7, episode 10, 3, 2, 1. With the original air date of November 23rd of 1985, right around Thanksgiving time.
Where was I on that day?
Do you remember where were you in 1985?
I do remember in 1985, I had moved down to Florida and I was singing. Oh, I know what I was doing. I had been singing in a top 40 band, and then somebody said to me, oh, they're starting a house band. And I thought, oh, that'll be so much better. So you don't have to travel around and do that stuff. So, and it was a country band. Mm-hmm. And I called the guy and he goes, have you sung country before? And I said, oh, yes.
And you hadn't?
And then I ran to the record store and I bought a bunch of little country albums that I could listen to try to learn some country songs before I auditioned.
And I've heard you sing country. Oh, you're a natural. Oh,
I sang country forever. I sang country at Sullivan's Trailway Lounge, which is now Cowboys. I sang there for 8 years.
Where is this?
It's on OBT.
Oh, you're talking that was here in town.
Here in town.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I want to talk more about your history and your singing a little bit later in the show, but you've already got extra questions I want to ask you because I assume that country music was in your veins from how well you sing it. But okay.
Funny.
I'm not going to get ahead of myself. We are going to talk about this gem of an episode written by the wonderful Paul Haggis. Yeah. And this is the same Paul Haggis that would go on to write the movie $1 Million Baby and win the Oscar for it. Yeah.
He went from Facts of Life to $1 Million Baby.
Oh, I'll do you one better. Then after that, he wrote and directed Crash, which won the Best Picture Oscar. Yeah, he's got 3 Oscars. I think he won screenplay and director for that too. I think he's got at least 3 Oscars. The man who wrote this.
That's
just saying.
That's crazy.
Why are you laughing, Matthew?
Because it's a fun episode and it gives Blair, it shows off Blair and her comic chops, I think.
Okay.
A little bit.
All right. That cannot be denied. No. It was directed by John Boab, the in-house director for the show. We've discussed him at length. And before we get started, Kate, doing our typical microscopic dissection, I always like to put my guest on the spot and ask you if you would please provide a 1 to 2 sentence synopsis of the entire episode. Just a quick, short thing, not unlike what you might read about it in a TV guide listing.
Blair is challenged to find her integrity at Joe's insistence.
Very good.
Okay.
Brava. Brava. If they are longer than 2 sentences, Matthew makes it a point to berate and insult them. So you pass.
I'm so glad I didn't do that then, because I don't think I could take that today. I think I could take a berating.
It's like people have never seen a fucking TV guide.
Okay, so are we ready to start dissecting this mofo?
Let's dissect.
Okay, first thing we have at the beginning of the episode, we're in season 7 now. The aesthetic has changed recently. It actually starts at like the dining room table, doesn't it? Or even the doorway out to the store. And it does a slow pan across the entire living room while the music is playing, while the initial credits are rolling. And then it lands on Blair sitting at the desk behind the couch. And that was interesting because this is still a fairly new set, Kate. This is, Over Our Heads just burned down only 10 episodes ago. And I'm sorry, Edna's Edibles burned down and they created Over Our Heads. I have to admit, we've been in the house before, but there were things I noticed that I hadn't seen before. Matthew, we have never discussed that big ass, fugly, honking, rustic wooden high back bench that is wedged in diagonally at the foot of the stairs.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
It won't be there long because that's where Beverly Ann puts her piano.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I am stunned at the amount of knowledge that you have of this. I don't know anything this well in my world.
You already know more than a lot of people who've been on the show, Kate. I promise you.
Well, at least I watched that.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
You're good.
Yeah. No, you're fine. So, and we're going to get into it even more as we go.
Okay.
So in the previous incarnation of the house, when it was Edna's Edibles, that's where the desk was. And it makes sense. It was one of those, like, from a feng shui standpoint, of course, that's where the desk would be. That makes sense. But this bench, and the fact that it is so huge, it is so oversized and at an angle. It's like you want to, you only put things at an angle when you have so much fucking space, you don't know what to do with it. Really and truly. That's what diagonals for furniture is, in my book anyway. So I just want to throw that out there. But yes, I do recall that we will get Beverly Ann's piano next season. Apparently, this is going to be here all this season, and it's going to be bothering me.
You're going to like it.
Okay. So Blair is sitting at the desk. She is going through some papers and marking them. And Joe comes in and asks Blair, what did you think of the news stories I wrote? And Joe is actually worried whether Blair likes them or not. And Blair says, oh, they're fine. I'm doing them now. And she has a big ass red marker and she is red lining the fuck out of these pieces of paper. In some cases, doing a gigantic X on the entire page. And they start to have a little bit of a disagreement about Blair doesn't like the stories Joe has written. And Joe is like, well, I write the news and you're supposed to read it. And Blair says, it's my face on the television screen. And Joe says, well, it's our grade on this class project. Thank you, expositional dialogue written by Paul Haggis, Academy Award-winning screenwriter. It's I'm thinking at this point, a TV production class, a journalism class. They do later actually call it, I think,
broadcasting or something.
Yeah, a broadcasting class or whatever. It's like, okay, sounds to me like an awfully elective course for two female students that we know have no aspirations.
Yeah, that was the thing for me. It's like already I'm like, why? They've never once suggested that Blair might want to be a newscaster, which would have been a great job for her to be interested in.
Yeah.
But
nothing leading up to that.
No, there's been no talk of them working on a television news station for their college since the show began.
Yep. And the only indication we've ever had of Joe being a writer was an episode where way back, like season 4, there was one singular episode where Joe was writing a column for the Eastland newspaper, and there was a drug bust, and she runs a story about the drug bust and one of the teachers getting arrested. Well, the teacher is a journalism teacher. And he was always pushing her. So this was kind of a bit of a revenge thing for her. Well, it turns out he didn't have anything to do with it. He later says, he goes, I saw what was happening at that party and I should have left, but I didn't. And well, here we are now. But it was one of those awful, fucking hate these episodes of, Joe, the reason why I was so tough on you was because you're one of my greatest students with the most potential. Go fuck yourself. Oh, I hate that.
Wait, David, I feel like somebody may have done that to you in the past.
I really haven't. It's just it's a TV trope and a movie trope of the being harder. And you know what? There was one time where there was a theater critic in town who shall remain nameless, who kind of implied she went a little tougher on our play because she expected more from us. And it's like, don't go tougher on our play. Fucking meet it where we want you to meet it. Don't.
Yeah.
But that whole thing of educator, Kate, you are an educator, so I believe can back me up on this, is that when there are students with great potential,
yes,
you can nurture and develop and evolve that potential without being a fucking dickbag to them. Am I right?
True. That is one of my pet peeves too.
Okay, good. We're there.
Yes.
That was the last time Joe ever had any journalism like inklings, never heard of it. And now here we are, what, 4 years later, where, yeah, she's a journalist. Yeah, that's the ticket. So we've got Blair wanting to do more human interest stories, fluffier pieces. Joe wants to do important, hard-hitting things. This is where Joe's liberal, sort of somewhat light hippie inclinations that we've alluded to before start coming up, because Joe wants to do an editorial about a housing development or an apartment complex that's being displaced and the people being evicted because it's on college property and they want to build a gymnasium.
Yeah.
And Joe's like, but people are losing their homes. That's not right. Someone should report on this. So we have that. You know what this made me think of as they were arguing? Made me think of Murphy Brown and Corky Sherwood. Anyone? Murphy Brown?
Anyone? Watched Murphy Brown. You mean the dynamic?
Yeah, the dynamic of I want to do Joe being the Murphy Brown saying, I'm a journalist and we have an obligation to do some hard-hitting stories.
Yeah.
And Blair is literally, well, I'm going to sit behind the desk and look pretty and we're going to talk to a cheerleader.
Yeah.
I mean, it is college news. So, I mean, I'm kind of Team Blair here, but I found it to be out of Joe's character to call the professor and tell on Blair. Like, that seemed like really like I'm going right to the top. And she picks up the phone and dials a phone number. Remember when you memorized phone numbers and you just knew phone numbers? I don't remember my parents' phone number now. Like,
she just happened to know her college professor's phone number.
Yeah.
Like that's one that I just keep right here.
Yeah.
But you did. You remember back in the day, like you were like, oh yeah, I can call them. Like you memorized all of those.
Mm-hmm.
I found it out of her character to just like go and tell on Blair to the professor, for God's sake. I did.
Yeah. And then the professor is a dickbag. Speaking of dickbags, he's a total jerk where she's like, yeah, I want to do this thing. And Blair wants to do that. And he's like, well, she's like, you hear only her side of the conversation. She's like, yeah, well, like, but I know it's a collaboration. And I'm thinking like, yeah, it's a collaboration. She's the fucking one who won't do she's not meeting me anyway.
And this is why I never give group assignments.
Thank you.
There's always people want to come to you, and there's somebody that's not, carrying their weight, pulling their own weight. And then people are bitching. And next thing you know, people have memorized my phone number and are calling me. I cannot.
No.
Yeah. And I just say it's a collaboration, work it out.
Yeah, it's collaboration, work it out. I have to go be under 30 years old and somehow have a job of a college professor. But we're going to deal with that when we meet him later.
Yeah.
That's another issue.
And he was hot.
Yeah. So that's why Joe, this would not be the first professor that Joe has dated. So one wonders, why did you know his phone number?
Well, and later on, they do talk about them failing, and yet he brings up giving her the D. Yeah, he goes, you're both going to get a D. And they were both like, oh. So, yeah, that was purely sexual.
Exactly. Because clearly he has a fetish for lesbians. Anywho.
Wait, what?
So then Andy comes in. Andy wearing 2 dress shirts layered over each other, both collars popped, high-waisted, pleated pants, all gray. I'm not as crazy about the color scheme, but I just looked at him and went, oh my God, you are the quintessential 12-year-old stylish 80s dressing child. I love it so much, the costuming.
I don't know how many actual 12-year-olds dress like that in 85, but that was definitely what you'd see on a mannequin at JCPenney or Chess King. Like
Yeah.
that was definitely what they were pushing for us to wear. It was stylish and everything, but I still, if you like, it's like one of those things where it's like what people think the 80s were, and they show over our heads what the 80s really were. A wood panel den with a TV and an Atari 2600 in it, like
Yeah.
that, and shag carpet. So I don't know. I don't know how many kids, but I will say this, David, George's ass is on the counter as soon as they go
Yes.
into the thing. It's something that I've been tracking, Kate, is how many
What?
asses can we put on the fucking counter in this shop? Every episode, somebody is seated with their feet up on the fucking counter. In one of the episodes coming up, Natalie's on there with her fucking Indian style with customers in there. Anyway, so yeah, it bothers me. I get the whole layers thing, but still, get his ass off the counter. Now, granted, it's George Clooney's ass, so I'd clean it with my tongue. The counter and his ass. But the point is,
Oh. But Kate, we have been tracking for the last few weeks. We have Carl Anthony to thank for the term horny child.
Oh, I was gonna hope we were addressing that because
We are going to be addressing this.
His dialogue, if you gave an 11-year-old girl or 12-year-old girl that dialogue, people would have lost their minds. Isn't it interesting that it's okay for a 12-year-old boy to say, what do I need to do to date a stewardess? And everybody's like, that's
Yeah.
fine.
yeah.
It's true. And
What
it's
the
one of
heck?
those where the concept of his dialogue, I get it. It's very funny when children say adult things that are beyond their years. That's the appeal of the Peanuts cartoons and, Charlie Brown going to therapy with Lucy behind a fucking cardboard box,
Yeah, but Charlie Brown's not wondering how he can get some puss. I mean, he's never like, I have a crush on the curly redhead girl. It's never like, I want to see her mound. You know what I mean? Even though now that I think about it, the whole him standing on the pitcher's mound and everything and him being the pitcher. Oh my God. Charlie Brown is overtly sexual now that I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
It?
Maybe you should stop thinking about it then.
I will. Sorry.
But that thing of, okay, well, what is some more grown-up like dialogue? Let's make him a little horn bag. Yeah, that's it. So when Blair sees...
It was disturbing.
You're right. And thankfully, we have a callback to this later. But we had an episode recently, Kate, where there were, by our count, 6.5 horny child references of differing directions, where he was saying something that was essentially like, how do I fuck some more chicks?
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. What we're referring to is Blair says, well, here he is. Here's a teenager of today. I want to appeal to them. What do you want to know, Andy? And he says, twinkle, twinkle, twinkle. Who farted?
Somebody knows somebody has your phone number memorized.
Oh no, that was
one of my students.
No.
I can't talk right now.
Make it work. It's a collaboration.
Amongst yourselves.
Did they want? She goes, this is our demographic. Andy's not your demographic at all. You're not performing for 12-year-olds. It's a college. No 12-year-olds are like, oh, I got to get home and watch the 11 o'clock college news, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. And
maybe she thought the mental capacity of a 12-year-old.
Okay.
To people who have the mental capacity of a 12-year-old.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, because frat boys, 12-year-olds, not too dissimilar. No.
Not too different.
Yeah. Anyway, the best compromise they can come up with is Joe says, fine, you do the stories you want to do, but let me pick the interview because I want to interview the dean of admissions about this apartment situation. And Blair's like, okay, agreed. The interview will come later, but I've already booked. Exactly. But I've already booked the head cheerleader. And it's like, God damn it. So they take their dispute as they're walking and they move on into the store. This is where George comes in. They're looking for the price gun.
The label gun.
Price, yeah, the label gun. Price label gun. Yes.
Yeah.
So Blair also in conceiving what is going to go on this news broadcast out of a college. In the previous scene, both Natalie and Joe are in these big ass blousy 1980s tops, not a waistline to be seen or found anywhere. My goodness.
I applaud the no waistline. Now that I don't have one, I applaud.
Back in the days when we could just wear leggings and a big baggy sweater.
That's my life, right? That's my uniform. I call it my menopause uniform.
So the
David,
next,
but before we go to the next scene, Blair says, Blair tells Joe, they argue, and she goes, write me something with bite, with men and women fighting for survival. That's what the story is that Joe has given you, Blair.
Yeah. It's
so she's like saying, because she argues with her about the story again, and Joe says, or Blair stands up and says, write me something with bite, with men and women fighting for survival. Here's your story. These men and women are fighting for survival. They're about to get kicked out of their house, Blair. So I don't understand why she's against this particular story, but I love Blair. So
it was too deep. It was too deep for her. There was not enough dazzle, whatever she said.
Too close to home, I guess, maybe.
Maybe. But in this second scene where they brought up the idea, Blair has brought up the idea of doing a remote live thing from the store, like a human interest story about over our heads. And Joe smartly says, this is TV journalism class. We're being taught that the news has to be impartial. You're a part owner in this business. That would just be like you putting up a commercial. Mm-hmm. And Blair is still committed to it. And finally, Joe just throws up her hands and says, do whatever you want. Sell out. Let's just get our A in this course. I don't care anymore. So Joe's just done with it.
It's about time, Joe. That's all you had to say at the beginning. Let's just do what we got to do.
Maybe having integrity is exhausting.
Thank
just
you.
Give it up.
You're so right, though. Maybe it's my old age or something, but I'm like, Joe, just fucking
just doesn't matter.
Take the A. This doesn't matter.
Yeah. Drink the Kool-Aid and I hear you.
I'm gonna be worm food one day anyway.
This ain't the hill to die on, Joe.
No.
For Christ's sake.
No.
Integrity is exhausting.
Exhausting.
Oh God, I want that on a fucking doormat or something.
Maybe that should be our slogan for the podcast, because God knows we're just flying by what's in our brains. We try to do research, but half of it is, slapdash and
things we've heard.
Yeah, rumors and speculation.
You have all kinds of info. It's very interesting.
So with this decision that we're going to do this live remote human interest story from over our heads, the next scene is Tootie in the store, suddenly taking on the role of director, planning the shots and what's going to happen. A rehearsal. Andy's there having to take George's place because George is late. This is where Blair shows up in what she's going to be wearing at the broadcast that night. And it was Maddie McDermott who pointed out that when Blair dresses up like this beautiful blue suit with the high collar blouse and her big fluffy blonde hair, she looks like Angela Bauer from Who's the Boss, doesn't she?
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Judith Light. That is literally something.
But the
isn't
outfit, but that kind of outfit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's spot on. To me, I'm like, that looks so Angela Bauer. And similar to Angela Bauer, Blair looks like she's 45 years old.
Yeah, she does not look like a college student.
It was the 80s.
How old was she really during all that?
Oh God, here's the can of worms. I'll see you in 10 minutes.
How funny. You should ask that, because I do track the ages of the girls, Kate.
Yes.
And
he tracks it like he's tracking their cycle. All right. And just For God's sake, Kate, you have cracked open this can. All right. I'm gonna refill my drink.
It's so easy. I won't go into everybody. The reason why I do it, Kate, is because they have changed the ages of the girls throughout the seasons. And only just recently, within the last couple of episodes, did they fuck with Andy's age. And it's like, no, pay attention. But the short response to your answer is Lisa Whelchel in real life at this point is 22. The character of Blair Warner is 21. That's all. She's a college junior.
That's not bad.
And
but have you ever looked like I looked at my mother's high school yearbook. Holy shit. They look like they were 40.
Yeah.
I thought this life is hard. Well, 1940s and 50s.
The 80s were especially like that because of the shoulder pads and shit, but also like the frosted hair, tips. The perms, the things. But yeah, it's fascinating to me. But at the same time, like I'll watch like a World War II documentary and they'll show these 18-year-olds like in the plane going to Normandy. And I look at them and I'm like, look at their little baby faces. They're just babies. So, but it is weird to look at Joe and be like, she is 45 years old.
Oh my Lord.
Because she's only 21. Isn't that funny?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So with this scene, we have planned, Tootie has planned things out. Mrs. Garrett has an actual entrance where she comes in wearing a scarf like she never does, in a feathered hat like she never wears, playing to the camera, welcome to our shop.
I was completely baffled by that. Like, what was that about?
Oh.
My problem is majorly, like, Tootie, you're a high school senior. Shut the fuck up. All right?
Too much confidence for you. She, when they were like, who are you? She's like, I'm Tootie. Like, you should know who I am. What is wrong with you people? Just the way she said it, I thought, I need that kind of confidence. How did Tootie get that much confidence?
We have no idea.
I'm 61 years old, and I don't have that kind of Tootie confidence.
You've never said to anybody, I'm Kate fucking O'Neill.
I'm Kate.
You should say, in this town, you could say, I'm Kate fucking O'Neill, and that would mean something. I don't think you realize.
Nobody remembers me.
Haven't I said that to you, Kate? I believe in our friendship at some point I've said to you, Kate, you are Kate fucking O'Neill. Act like it.
You might have.
Yeah.
Because I always like to pull that out.
Was that when I was crying?
Probably. But I mean, you've talked me out of many things. We skipped over the fact that something I needed to talk about, David, in this beginning of the scene. George comes in and he's late.
Yes, George is late, and tell us why.
Oh my God, David.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God. I needed to pause and touch myself, if I'm being honest, for a second. Because he said Tootie requested the Miami Vice look, and it's cold out there not wearing socks. Can we just talk about George Clooney not wearing socks for a minute? Oh, God. Okay, I guess we can't. But then how he grabs Andy and pulls him out of the scene by pulling him into his armpit. Oh, Mackenzie Aston, you lucky little motherfucker. Oh.
I have to say, I was thinking when I saw that, I wonder what he smells like.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
I was 100% thinking that when I saw him do that. I was like, I wonder what he smells like.
A 24-year-old George Clooney. Oh, I bet he smells like heaven. What I picture heaven smelling like is George Clooney's armpit.
Wow.
You're welcome.
Well, I was going to credit that our dear close personal friend, Diana Eden, the costumer for the show, Kate, whom we know personally.
Yes.
She did a beautiful job where he was supposed to come in looking like Miami Vice, and the outfit is perfectly imperfect in that it looks like a guy like George having to throw together a Miami Vice look.
Trying. Yeah,
this is what he come up with, because it doesn't quite do it. Yeah. But it is 100% correct. And I love that. I love when little details like that do do happen when it looks like someone is paying attention when they're making a TV show. So
nobody pays as much attention as you do, David. I can't believe the stuff you notice. This is amazing to me. I'm fascinated.
The list of notes that we're sending back to the writers in our time machine to fix this shit. It's going to be voluminous. Voluminous.
It's awesome.
Yes. Joe, I have to say, this is a good hair episode for Joe.
I had hair like that.
Did you?
Yes. I had, it was a very short period of time, but I had perm with mullety.
I demand that you provide a photograph of this.
My mother has the picture in her little assisted living apartment, which is on a cube, which I always turn away.
It's a picture cube.
It's a picture cube, and I always turn it so I don't have, nobody can see that mullet picture.
I haven't thought of a picture cube in 25 years.
Picture cube.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, my brain is exploding right now.
It's so awful. It's so awful. And the thing is like, I don't have the kind. I mean, there are people that can get away with that look. I can't get away with that look. I look like Billy Ray Cyrus. Like, the only thing that's missing is I waxed my mustache off. Otherwise, I look like Billy Ray Cyrus with that mullet. Is awful, just awful.
I know hairstylists that won't do it. And I used to get my hair done by a lesbian. And I asked her one time, I was like, how do you deal with lesbians coming in here wanting a mullet? And she goes, I tell them I won't do it. I tell them not, I will not cut a mullet.
It's Anyway.
It was it had a very short life, the mullet.
But
I mean,
its fire burned very brightly.
Oh yes.
In its short time.
Oh yes.
It was a star that did not live long but burned very brightly, yes.
Well, yes.
You're gonna hate the Blair's hair in the coming up episodes. I put season 7 on last night and just let it run. And
what does she do?
Oh, it's every episode's a different haircut, and one of them I'm convinced is a wig, because it's like she pulled all of her hair forward, and it's all like, and yeah, so she's kind of messing with her hair this season, I think.
Oh my.
She's still gorgeous, and I'm not mad at her.
So with all of this stuff happening at the store, the two actual news guys show up from the crew, two very hot blonde 1980s guys. They never really went on to do anything else. And so we're just going to leave it. I'm not even going to tell you their names.
Did you look them up?
I did. There's not much there.
Yeah.
Did you Google their name and then put obituary?
No, we look them up through IMDb, which tells
that's
you.
what I do. That's what I do when my mom wants me to look up her old friends.
Wow.
I just type their names in obituary.
Wow, that just took a turn. Wow.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got off track.
But the big thing that I'm always looking for is, do they appear at any other time on the Facts of Life, either as these characters or as others? And they do not. None of the guest stars in this appear at any other time. So they put together this, basically Tootie tries to run them through what they've rehearsed. And then it ends with them in a tableau behind the counter. Goodbye from over our heads. Is this where Mrs. Garrett runs in, and this time the scarf is caught on something and we get a Charlotte Rae?
No, I believe that happens when they're live.
Does it? Well, it's Charlotte Rae, the broad. I'm not sure a widescreen TV. I'm not sure Cinerama or O Tadeo is a broad enough screen to contain the broadness of the physical bit of Mrs. Garrett walking into the room and almost being choked by her scarf. Wow. It gets a laugh.
Are we just gonna make her an idiot from now on? Like Mrs. Garrett, Like, I don't like at all what they did to her character in this particular episode.
I didn't understand what was happening to her. I literally thought she's high. They made, there were even things. What makes your cookie so darn good? That's what they said. That's what George Clooney said. Darn good.
Darn good.
What makes
Okay.
your cookie so darn good? And that was George Clooney saying that. And I thought to myself, well, this explains her behavior. Because she's high as a kite.
Well,
Edna's edibles.
Her
She
shop
had
was
some edibles for sure.
her shop was named Edna's Edibles, and if you watch those episodes where they're in the shop, you will find out that the store was a drug front, and because like you get everybody coming in here going, we've heard Edna's quiche is the best quiche that we can get. Where can we get Edna's quiche?
Yeah,
and it's a lot of like, yeah, okay, that's code. That's code word for Maui Wowie.
Oh, yeah. It was I totally did not understand her weirdness. I was like,
and I mean, the whole interaction with Tootie where she's like, we're so glad to have you on our ship. And Tootie comes over and goes, it's nice to have you here. Oh, thank you, Tootie. That's so nice to be here. I was like, what is happening? Like, Edna's not an idiot.
Is this an Alzheimer's? Did she have to leave the show because she had dementia? Is that what really happened?
No, next week we have a heavy Edna episode where an old friend of hers comes back and accuses her of having an affair with her husband. It's like a super duper heavy Edna episode.
I want to watch that episode.
Yeah. And it's like available on the Roku channel.
I'm going to watch it.
Do it.
Yeah. She's definitely playing for an Emmy in the next episode. I think she was like, this is my last chance to get nominated for an Emmy.
Was she being fed her lines in an earpiece?
No, believe it or not.
I don't think so. I think it's
she
just
earned
the
her
writing.
money on that one. She earned her money on that episode.
Yeah. Well, the
How
thing
many lines is this? What? All this in a week? What?
I just pooped my pants. Where are my strawberries?
Where's my God? What is happening? Oh my God.
Okay. Oh God. Okay.
So before we go to commercial, in all of the kerfuffle of them trying to show the camera crew what they've got rehearsed and whether that's going to work, Joe walks back and Blair says, I knew you'd be back. And Joe says, yep, and I've made a decision. We're going on together. And Joe handcuffs herself to Blair.
Yes. Can I just say,
wow.
One, as a college student, I would not have even known where to go to get a pair of handcuffs.
Mm-hmm.
But that made for some weird line. Like, can I just say, well, maybe I'm jumping ahead, but when the professor comes in and Blair says, there's someone chained to my wrist.
Yeah.
What an interesting choice for delivery. Like, are we trying to get a rise out of the professor? Hoping for the D? I don't know. But that was so weird.
As opposed to this crazy see you next Tuesday, damn fucking handcuffed herself to me.
There's someone chained to my wrist.
Yeah.
That would have been a more...
Exactly. It's
there's someone chained
to my wrist. Oh.
This is Joe's dream come true. Joe has been waiting to pull those handcuffs out of her sex toy chest since season 2.
The tension has been building for
finally got him on there. And then she's under the desk.
Yeah. Thank you. When they're about to go to film and Blair like grabs Joe's head and like pushes it down below it's very you're like lickety split. There's a lot of lesbiterian overtones.
Weird going
A
there.
lot of it. But before we get to that, we have our commercial break. And Kate, during the commercial break, I like to get to know our guest a little bit better.
Oh.
Wondering if you might take us on a little tour of your life and your career. So Kate O'Neill, where were you born?
I was born in New Rochelle, New York.
New Rochelle, New York. So
Yes.
That's not far at all from Peekskill.
It's just a hop, skip, and a jump.
Wow. Very close. So yeah.
So I was born there. That was where my mother was from. I was supposed to be born in France, where my father was stationed. He was in the Air Force, but my mother didn't like the doctors and thought they were going to kill her. So she made him fly her back to New Rochelle, and I was born there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have regrets that you're not technically a French woman?
I think if I had been born in France, I probably would have embraced it and learned French and developed an attitude that I don't have. So yeah, I do regret it. Whenever I see French people, they ooze sort of like cool confidence, and I feel like I missed out on that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So when did you first get the bug to perform? Did you?
Let me tell you, my sister and I performed together all the time from the time we were very, very little. My mother, I looked at my baby book and she said she sings in tune songs that she had taught me at 2.
Wow.
So they were teaching me songs, and my sister was 2 years older than me, and we performed together all over the place. Anybody who would listen, we put together a George M. Cohan medley, and we performed it everywhere.
Wow.
You're a grand old flag. It was amazing.
Wow. Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Yes, that was on there as well.
Man. So when
Give
did
my
you?
regards to Broadway.
That's right.
Anyway.
All of that.
Yes.
And so did you eventually study performance and singing?
No.
You didn't?
I never studied really. I took a couple when I was in college. I went to Indiana University. They have a big opera department there that's very well known. I took a couple classes, opera classes, and decided I don't like opera. However, I did like singing, and what happened was I went to a summer camp. I worked one summer, and they had a talent show for the counselors, and I won the talent show. I did a song. I did Desperado. And I won the talent show contest, and everybody was like, oh, you sing so great, and blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking, huh. So I went back to college that year, and I went to the music store, and I said, I just want to let you know I'm a professional singer looking for a gig, and if you hear of anything, let me know. And then I got a call that said, there's a band in town, and their chick singer quit, and they're looking for somebody. And I was like, okay.
This is like a 1940s, like 42nd Street. I walked into the store and I said, I'm a lady singer. And they said, well, this band just lost their lady singer. She just quit.
It was like amazing. And so I went and they hired me. And it turns out they were a very good band. And I was completely out like, this is like incredibly lucky that I am here and doing this. And it was amazing. I mean, it really was total luck. And there were many, many people in town who could have done it better than me, I'm sure. But I just loved it. And I was in, and we made an album, and we performed, and like one of the guys, the guys in the band were fantastic. One of them ended up playing for the Dixie Chicks, was like their head guitar player and band leader for the Dixie Chicks.
Wow.
Another guy is real well known and kind of in the indie area. Like, it was crazy. So, good luck.
And you were certainly good enough to hold your own there, but I imagine it was also great learning experience.
Yes,
you.
I
And
learned
you
a
were
lot.
in college. Did you finish college? And what did you end up getting
Well, no,
your
you know
degree
what's
in?
so funny is that I just short of graduating, I thought the drummer had moved to Florida and he said, "Oh, you could get a job singing in a band here, no problem." And I was like, "Okay." And I drove down there and I did. I found a job in a top 40 band. And then I went back and finished college, and which I majored in social and behavioral science, sociology and psychology.
Oh, okay. Like you do when you're a singer.
Something to fall back on.
Helps you understand people.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
And then that begot you this country band
Yes.
job. So if you had said,
I
David,
looked into it again. Yeah.
if you had said, David, I'm a Texas girl, I would have been like, oh, okay, of course. That's why you are such a country music. You're so adept at it.
I didn't know any of that.
Is amazing.
I had sung Linda Ronstadt. That's why I confidently said I can sing country music, because I had done Linda Ronstadt music.
Sure. She was kind of
I
a bridge.
had sung Desperado at Camp Watito.
Yeah.
So
when did musical theater kind of come into your life?
Okay. So then I don't know if you know this or not, but a lot of top 40 bands and country bands and stuff, they want the females in their band to be very young and hot. And came the day, I was no longer young and hot.
Uh-oh.
And I thought, I got to figure something else out.
Now you're just hot.
Now I'm just nothing.
Oh.
People use this. I went up to, we moved around a little bit, and we were living up in Connecticut, and they were putting on Fiddler on the Roof at this community theater in Yorktown, New York, where they would bring in Broadway stars to do the lead, and then they would fill in, the other parts with the community. And my whole, growing up, we had listened to all these albums, and Fiddler on the Roof was the one where I always sang along Frumacera's part, so I had it down. So I went in there going, I'm going to get Frumacera. And I got Frumacera. And that's the first theater I ever did.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Crazy. Because when you're when you're doing Fiddler on the Roof and an actress named Kathleen O'Neill walks in the door.
Who was the Broadway person they brought in for that Fiddler on the Roof that you did?
Craig Shulman, the longest running Jean Valjean on Broadway, played Tevye.
Oh.
And I got to choke him, and he told me I was choking him wrong. I was going to break his moneymaker.
Oh.
So he had to teach me how to choke him.
So you didn't have your hand around his neck.
How do you think I got the part?
Giggity. Hallelujah. So then in the time I've known you, you have performed at theme parks.
True.
You have done singing gigs there. You've been kind of an independent contractor. And then you've moved into sort of back to your educational roots.
Yes.
And talk about your career nowadays.
Well, now I'm a college professor. I teach communication. I got a master's degree in interpersonal communication.
Wow.
It's serving me well in life. I'm single. I know what I should say, but I don't.
It's that great moment in Moonstruck where the woman throws the drink in the face of the man she's dating. And then we realize it's John Mahoney. And in his conversation with Olympia Dukakis, where we've seen twice now, we've seen him have arguments in a restaurant with a girl throwing her drink in his face and running out. And he's like, what do you do? And he says, teach communication, NYU.
Yes.
That's one of the best jokes.
Yes. But
God,
it's so true. It's like, I know what I should do, but I just have a hard time doing it.
Well, I loved when the rare times we would get to share the green room at American Idol at Disney. You guys were kind of in your little zone and I was in mine.
God, Kay, I learn so much from you every time we talk. Every time we talk. You are just a light in my life.
You're such a delight. Thank you for saying that.
I'm not smooching your butt. You know that.
No.
But David, say it.
Kate O'Neill.
Yes.
Enough about you. We have to. we need to get back to the conundrum of Jo being handcuffed to her girlfriend.
Which is another sitcom trope, I believe. Again, you get to a point where in every sitcom, there's an episode where somebody's handcuffed to somebody else, I think. Maybe it's just Three's Company, but I feel like it's been done before.
Lucy, so we start the second act of this sitcom on the set of the Langley News TV station, wherever this is. The cameras are there. There's a floor manager, stage manager, calling that, we're getting ready to go live. Let's do a live commercial. So we get the sort of coming up, we're going to have this, that, and this. And Blair's hand is below the desk. And then when she puts her hand up, you see it is still attached to Jo's hand. And then Professor Jordan comes in right before they go to air to be a fucking dickbag. That's the word of the day about the men who mistreat these women. The fucking dickbags. Even
what did she call him? She said something like, he's an idiot.
Idiot, I think.
The man's an idiot. That's what she said.
But he's so young. It's like Professor Jordan being a ball buster. Like he comes in, I'm like, oh, well, hello, Professor Jordan. I'd like you to give me a D. But anyway, that was just weird casting, and he wasn't that good. Not sorry, sorry, actor Phil Redrow. Not your strongest work was still ahead of you.
What was his future work? Never mind.
Nothing. Okay. So but Blair
check obituaries.
Oh no, she did it again. he might be he might
be gone.
Did he go on to anything? He's dead, Kate. Are you happy? He's fucking dead.
Well, his best work.
Oh, Blair begs Jo. She says, I'll do your stories. I'll read whatever you want. Just unlock the handcuffs. But we know she's lying. She's lying. Jo doesn't believe her. So then we get this physical, again, this may as well be Lucy and Ethel here. And funny thing, a little sidebar I do need to make is one of our faithful listeners and one of our Tutti Fruities who supports us through the Patreon, a lovely woman by the name of Michelle B. She had gone to one of those, I guess it's like a women's retreat kind of a thing that would be done through a church or religious group. And Lisa Whelchel was the speaker. Oh. It was the thing, Lisa Whelchel made a lot of money on the speaking circuit through the Christian church circles and all that. And one of the things, and I do have video, she did take video of the talk where Lisa Whelchel said, people asked me what was my favorite thing I ever did on The Facts of Life. And Lisa Whelchel introduces and shows this clip of her and Nancy McKeon doing all the physical shtick of trying to conceal that Jo is handcuffed to her under the desk. And it's really very sweet. And
that's interesting.
Yeah. And it's really the physical comedy, the situation, preposterous. What they do with it, absolutely wonderful work. Bravo to the actresses, or brava, excuse me. So we do go to live feed from the store. It's clunky and awkward. The callback when they introduce the staff is it comes up to Andy and he's got on the aviator sunglasses and he just looks at the camera, takes them off and goes, I fly planes. Still trying to fuck a stewardess, little 12-year-old.
But who's writing that? Like, I mean, we get that supposedly his hormones are out of control and blah, blah, blah. But like, really? You give him the line, I fly planes. It's not like you look like you're older than you are. Why not like, I'm the star basketball player or something? You know what I mean? Like, why did it have to be, I fly planes? It's just so non sequitur for him to,
because he wanted a stewardess.
I get it. But I mean, it's just like, I don't know. The whole storyline, like, why is he, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think you're right that it's like, I just found
his dialogue creepy.
Yeah.
He has not hit puberty yet. And so that kind of dialogue is like, and frankly, from a psychological perspective, children that are promiscuous in their behaviors are children who have been abused. And so my first thought was, what is going on in his house?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who hurt you?
Who hurt hurt you,
Yeah.
Andy.
You're right.
Touched you when they shouldn't have touched you.
I've said this before, that it would be different if it was an actual teenager in puberty. You could get it, but he is still every inch a child. Exactly. That is what is not working here. So we come back to the studio, and Blair has got Joe now just sitting at the desk, sitting next to her like a co-anchor situation. We try to do the interview with the head cheerleader, Penny. Of course, the head cheerleader is presented as a complete and total blithering idiot.
And they call her Penny because she's so cheap.
Oh, nice. Is that from the show, or did you just make that up?
I just made that up.
What?
I don't know what I'm doing.
I thought they called her Penny because she ain't got no sense.
Oh,
that's even better.
Booyah.
But my question, I mean, she knew what part she was playing, that little actress. She knew what she was doing. I liked her delivery and everything.
Oh, yeah.
How does that cheer go? Go, Langley, go, 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 go. I wasn't mad at her at all. I thought she
did
exactly what she was there for.
Yes. Yeah, no diss to her. It's just the writing of, it was a stereotypical cheerleader, dumb blonde character.
Yeah.
So she does not want to read this fucking editorial that Joe has written. Blair says, go back to the shop, go back to over our heads. So it goes back, and it's a shot of like the tabletop, and they quickly have to scramble. So we get more comedy in the form of awkwardness, of ill preparedness. And Edna offers to take them.
High as a kite. And
takes him into the kitchen, but the cord won't reach. You hear the cameraman going, the cord's too short.
Just as well, because she had illegal things in there that she was adding to her batter.
She'd have been cutting the coke right there. Yeah, it would have been bad.
My problem is that the camera guy is there, but the anchor isn't.
Yeah.
The guy who was there from the beginning.
Yeah. Did he take a potty break? What happened to him?
He's gone, and the camera guy's just sitting there.
And then George Clooney takes the microphone.
Yeah. And steps in and saves the day. Because this is after he's asked, where can I buy this? And then they take no money from him. And then he shows up behind the counter to say goodbye. It's so fucking weird.
And there's a goose that's called a duck.
Yeah.
And that's not right.
A goose called a duck. Yeah, it was.
That's not right. If Andy was a little older, he would know the difference between a goose and a duck.
Mm-hmm.
He's never been goosed.
He's never. He hasn't had enough life experience to know the difference between a goose and a duck.
There it is. Okay, so that's why you shouldn't be trying to fuck a stewardess.
Exactly.
Jesus. So then finally, Blair says, I'll read the goddamn editorial. And she starts to read it. And Lisa Welchel, after doing all the wonderful physical work that she's been doing, she now starts reading it in a sort of detached, I'm just reading this because I have to. And as she proceeds, the words that Joe has written, not just about them kicking people out of their apartment complex, but words like, this is about our town. This is a place where Peekskill call it their home. And Blair, as she is reading the editorial, is swayed. Mm-hmm. And it ends with, the choice is yours. Either way, we thought you should know. And then Blair tags it with, at least that is this reporter's opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yes, in the end, she claims it as her own.
Yeah.
That's she has plagiarized Joe's work and claimed it as her own.
The handcuffed hand should have come from off screen and just been slap. How dare you?
Oh.
And with that moment, finally, them coming to an agreement. The crew at the store is on the monitor, and somehow they're able to talk and hear each other back and forth. Yeah. And they say, so when are you coming home? And Joe says, soon. Why? And because they were forced to say goodbye for about 2 solid minutes while Blair and Joe got their shit together. They just had to tread water there. Tootie's response to when they're coming home, she says, because we want to hurt you.
Yes.
I love the way that was delivered. It was wonderful.
Tootie really, I feel like, let her power be known in this episode.
She stood in her truth.
she let it be known that she was Tootie and she was gonna hurt them.
Mm-hmm. And then the final joke is one of them says, "Oh, come on, you don't mean that." And Mrs. Garrett says, "Come home soon." And there it is.
Pretty much just like that. That's actually like a really good imitation.
It's like she was here, huh?
It's like she's right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there it is.
I can't
Final
get
thoughts.
Over.
Final thoughts, Kate O'Neill, on the episode.
Final thought. Let me wrap it up. I'll do a little bookend because in the beginning you asked me how I would, summarize the episode, and it's about finding integrity at Joe's urgence, and she came close, but she never really found it because she plagiarized Joe's material.
But isn't that? I mean, that was the.
But she
the
made
point.
it. She got closer to it.
I mean, that's what anchors do. I mean, they don't generally write the copy. So, I mean, for her to add, that's my opinion on it, I think is more taking it as her own than just delivering the editorial. If she had just delivered the editorial.
Changed? Like, do you think it changed
I think
her?
so. Yeah.
I think it changed her mind a little bit, but I mean, it's like, it's like saying Jimmy Fallon is plagiarizing his joke writers. No, that's their job to write fucking jokes for him and that. And it's Joe's job to write that for him. And I think it's just a fun, silly episode. How was it to step into, Kate O'Neill? Like,
I have to say, I watched the show occasionally. I was in college, when the show came on. So I wasn't really in the age group of that was watching it the most.
Yeah, you were old.
I was old, but I did catch some, and I always had my favorites and thought it was kind of cute and funny. But to see how you analyze it is really fascinating. It's really like an academic study of this episode is really nice.
Well, thank you. And Kate, my tens of listeners agree that they find this entertaining. And I hope so. This is just me doing this stupid little fucking overanalyzing thing that I would do if we were sitting at a party and the subject came up. Yeah. So, I would synopsize and dissect 201 episodes of a 9-year sitcom before you left the party. So that's so sweet of you. I'm glad that you find this entertaining, because there are so many times where I'm just like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? This is so silly.
Clean fun.
Anyway, this has been fun.
This has been. Matthew, you always like to end with a question that you always ask our guests.
Kate, so this was our show. The Facts of Life was our show when we were growing up. Yes. Well, when David was growing up, I was a toddler. But what was your show then? If you said you were already in college by the time Facts of Life, like what was your favorite show as a kid? What was that?
Wow. I watched the Brady Bunch.
Okay.
That was a very popular show that I watched a lot. And I watched The Partridge Family.
Okay.
That was another big one that I loved.
I can dig that.
Musical Family.
That was big in our house because my sister is 3 years older than I am. So she's a few years younger than you.
Did she have a crush on David Cassidy?
All the posters. All.
I cut the mouth out of one of those posters and fucked the shit out of that
poster. God, no.
It looked like a goddamn Jackson Pollock painting by the time I was
Well, Kate, this has been a wonderful time, and thank you so much for being on the show. So sorry Matthew has to run now.
Thank you for having me on. It was delightful. What a nice way to end my day.
Oh, I'm glad. It's been great to see your face and just shoot the breeze with you again. So I look forward to the next time. Smooches and goodbye. Mwah.
Bye.
And there you have it. That was Kate O'Neill. And my new favorite quote, having integrity is exhausting. That will always be attributed to her now, from here till forever. I will post that video of Lisa Welchel talking and introducing the clip from the show. Again, thank you, Michelle B., for sending that to me and for giving me permission to share it. So check that out at this episode's webpage, along with some other fun supplemental stuff. Next week, we're going to be watching Season 7, Episode 11, called We Get Letters. And we're going to be joined by actress, writer, storyteller, Alice Fairfax. You can watch the episode ahead of time at dailymotion.com or currently on the Roku channel. I will put the links in this week's show notes and on this episode's webpage. That is all. Thank you so much for listening to this week's show. And remember, the facts of life are all about you.
Let's Face the Facts was created, produced, written, hosted, and edited by the wonderful David Almeida. Our theme song was beautifully arranged and recorded by Ned Wilkinson. Please visit FaceTheFactsPod.com for supplemental photos and videos, links to social media, and ways that you can support the show. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. This is Matthew Arder saying tune in again next week for another thrilling episode of Let's Face the Facts.